Massacre or moon? What are we going to see after the CPI comes out? I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education, and when the weather's so nice that it puts a bounce in your step, it must be spring. All right, we are definitely seeing the calm before the storm in the pre-market hours this morning with SPY, QQQ. We're going to take a look at those charts. We're also going to look at NVDA and Tesla. I'll tell you about the way I position myself for those two for the CPI. We'll see if it works out for me. And then also want to talk about Bitcoin briefly, and then also Apple and NVIDIA in this video. It's going to be a quick one for us because, like I said, this is the calm before the storm that we're seeing. So let's put the charts up and talk about this. So yesterday, SPY, look at that bottom wick that we got. That's a lot of bullishness that you have there. Honestly, I think it's putting us right around that 520 mark to sort of set us up, 518 to 520, set us up for anything to happen for the CPI to come out today. So I really do think that if we get a significant beat, that we moon, and I do think that if we actually exceed expectations to the high side, and meaning that we go high on inflation, that this is where we start to see that massacre and we start to see a lot of red, possibly bringing us down all the way down to the 50-day that we have here for SPY. If we go to the moon side of things, we could find ourselves at 525, so a full percent up, possibly even breaking us back into this ascending wedge pattern that we have right here. We're going to have to watch and see. It's going to be incredible. Moving over to the Qs, we've retested 1, 2, 3 different days that 50-day moving average. I think we can clearly say that that is support for us, as I thought it would be. That's why I say watch this support. So far, it's held for us. I think that today could be that make or break moment with the CPI coming out. And like I said, consensus is anybody's game. That's definitely a mixed bag to see that consensus come in. And, we're going to have to watch for that. Maybe there's a slight bullish bias that goes along with it because we're above the 50 and the 200 days. We're just going to have to watch and see. Let me tell you about the end phase play that I made. So for end phase, I went with deeply out of the money strangle for this. So I went to the low side with the put. I went to the high side with a call, and that one is actually, I think I'm up about 50% on that as of yesterday's close, but I did it with a near expiration option just this Friday. So the time value is going to bleed away quickly, and I'm counting on a big move from end phase as a result of that. It would be most favorable for me if it went significantly to the upside, as I also hold shares on that one, and it's already up significantly. So if it were to reverse back down the other way, then I think I'd still end up being in profitable territory. My max risk on this isn't that great. I think for the strangle play that I made for one call, one put, it comes out to about $165. So not betting the farm on anything like this, but I think it is one that's going to play out pretty handsomely for me as we watch that play out. For Tesla, we broke out of the descending wedge pattern that we have happening. And, well, again, we're going to have to see. Calm before the storm, CPI. I put out a strangle on this one as well. I went to the low side with a put, to the high side with a call, and I'm looking for that volatility to come into this. I'm hoping that we get a significant beat that puts us up at the 50-day moving averages, putting us around 185. I think that would be very fortunate. My Tesla strangle as of yesterday's close was also profitable. And so this is one that I'm watching for, I think, at 10 or 15%. Maybe I'd have to go and take a look at that. But like I said, the time value is going to bleed away quickly on that one, super quick, because the expiration is this Friday. I'm hoping for a big volatile move today. So that options play will only exist today. I'm going to be closing it out at some point in time today. And then at BTC, let's look and see what we have here. So looking at the daily chart for this thing, and you can see that we broke out of this, and then we got an engulfing candle bringing us right back down into this symmetric triangle pattern. We are staying up above 68.6, 68.5. So we got to be watchful for that. We want to stay above this yellow line. If we head back down and retest this trend line support, we have the 50-day moving averages right here, the EMA and SMA. That can also act as support for us, which are right near this trend line for us. That could set up that next move up for BTC. And you can see, looking at the RSI, that calmed down significantly. This is what you want to see, is that settling, so we're not up in that overbought territory. We've got to keep on questioning if we're going to collapse from those prices. Now, mind you, it's crypto. It could collapse anyway, but I do think that we still have a little bit of upside on this before leading up to the Bitcoin halving, which is April 19th or 20th, depending on what I've seen both things happening. I don't know exactly which one it's going to be. It could, as the most sources I saw said the 20th, but I think that if we do get a rise, it's going to happen before that time, and if we get a sell, it's also going to happen before that halving takes place. That's just what I think is going to happen. We'll have to see if that plays out. Near term, I think that we can hit about 76 or 77,000 based off of what we see from right here, measuring from the bottom of what we have here out of these two double bottoms, that this one's just a little higher. So up to that top trend line, which is where we have right here, which is what we had to break out of, and we did. So if we are able to regain that 77,000 and over the longer term, I don't know that this happens anytime soon. And this is just sort of showing where we could go with this. We could actually hit that 100,000 mark under the right and favorable circumstances. I still think 6 to 12 months could put us there. But crypto, anybody's call. We're going to have to watch and see. Apple, we got this double bottom. And right now we just keep on riding along this. We have the bears with that pressure, keeps on winning. The bulls are holding this line down at about 168. So we just got, man, like for Apple, it's going to be tough. We actually had good news in the pre-market hours this morning about further development in India, which is good for more production in India. Would be moving away from China, taking away that China risk that we have with the tensions that there are, trade tensions between the U.S. and China. So that diversification, reducing the China risk that we would have with something like that is actually a good thing. And you can see so far the market is reacting somewhat favorably to this. I did have a call option position that I got stopped out of back on, I think it was Thursday of last week, when things were going pretty well, and then the market pulled back significantly about 1 p.m. that day, and that stopped me out for about a 10% loss. I might actually start to jump back in this, especially because we're near this line here, near that, but that might be buying right into resistance. Got to be careful with it. I'll probably play it pretty closely just to make sure that I don't set myself up for a significant loss. So last thing I want to show you is NVIDIA. NVIDIA earnings are going to be towards the end of May. Probably with about a week to go towards the end of May. And I don't think that it's announced on here yet. They have this. I don't know if it's official. It's saying Wednesday, May 22nd. So like I said, about a week to go in May. And that's because their fiscal quarter doesn't end until the end of April. So it's about 3 weeks after that takes place. So I don't know that we saw the end of the selling. It'd be really, really, really bullish to see this thing come down and hit what we have down here at about $800 per share. And we're actually starting to see news now about some FUD articles come out about NVIDIA correcting and is it time to shine over and casting all sorts of doubt, and I'm really hoping to get people to paper hand this thing and drop it away. But I do think that when we see this thing drop, and I would love to see it drop around $800 per share prior to earnings, I think that we get that run up that's going to retest all-time highs, possibly show us that four-figure mark of $1,000 prior to that earning, which, mind you, down to 800 up to 1,000, that's a 25% gain between now and their earnings in May. That's just over a month's time. So that's quite a statement to make that we could see that happen. Now, mind you, will we get there if we hit 800? I think 900 is comfortable. I think 1,000 is possible. So somewhere around 10% up to 25% leading up to those earnings. And then I think in typical fashion, when we're expecting really strong earnings to come out, that we would see that sell into earnings happening, unless, of course, they really blow us out of the water like they did with their last earnings. So we're just going to have to watch and see that one. I'm going to let you guys go on this one. We'll talk more after that CPI comes out. If you want to see my buys and sells and talk with me and my community members, there is a link for the Patreon down in the description. There's also a link if you want to do technical analysis like I do. There's a link for a technical analysis trading course in the description as well. Click that, sign up, and there's even a community that goes along with it where you can get your questions answered about technical analysis. Thank you guys for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.